When it comes to love, we all walk in with hope. We imagine connection, chemistry, kindness, and something real. But sometimes, what we walk into is a gam. A complicated, confusing, emotionally draining cycle where someone isn't being honest and we're left questioning ourselves. In relationships, especially when someone is playing with your heart, it's easy to forget who you are. It's easy to turn that confusion inward, to ask, what am I doing wrong? Instead of asking the more important question, is this good for me? Because the truth is, when a woman or anyone is playing games, it's not about you. It's about their own fear, their own uncertainty, their own avoidance of something deeper. But your heart, it deserves honesty. It deserves someone who shows up. It deserves peace, not anxiety. Love isn't supposed to feel like a maze with no exit. Outsmarting the game doesn't mean playing it back. It doesn't mean becoming colder or more manipulative or trying to win. That's not love. That's just ego. Outsmarting the game means rising above it. It means protecting your self-respect. It means choosing clarity over chaos. You notice the patterns, the hot and cold behavior, the silence that feels like punishment, the compliments that come only when you start pulling away. These are not signs of deep interest. They're signs of control, of emotional confusion. And when you begin to see them, not as mysterious, but as red flags, you begin to take back your power. Because the most dangerous part of these games isn't what the other person does. It's how much of yourself you're willing to lose trying to decode it. That's the cost. Your energy, your sleep, your dignity. But there's something more valuable at stake, your ability to trust yourself. And that's what you must guard above all else. When someone plays games with your heart, it's not flattering. It's not romantic. It's not evidence that they care deeply and just don't know how to show it. It's emotional immaturity. It's avoidance. And it's a lack of respect. Don't fall for the cycle that tells you this is normal, that all women do this, that love is supposed to hurt first and heal later. That's a lie. Love is supposed to bring out your strength, not your insecurity. So if she cancels plans often, keeps you guessing, flirts for attention only to pull away, see it for what it is, and walk. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself more. Setting a boundary isn't bitterness, it's self-respect. And if you're afraid to walk because you think you'll lose her, understand, if she's playing games, you never really had her. You were just a character in her story, not the author of your own. It's time to reclaim your story. That means choosing relationships that feel calm in your nervous system. That means paying attention to how you feel when you're with someone. Do you feel safe, seen, or do you feel like you're constantly trying to measure up, hold on, decode, impress, fix? You're not here to fix broken people or teach someone how to treat you. You're here to live with integrity, to give love that's whole and healthy, and to receive the same in return. Outsmarting these emotional games doesn't mean being smarter than her. It means being smarter for yourself. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging for clarity. You stop making excuses for behavior that hurts. And you start listening to the quiet truth inside you that says, this isn't it. Because when you stop entertaining people who drain you, you make space for the people who see you. And they do exist. But they won't find you when you're busy chasing chaos. They'll find you when you're walking in peace, when you're steady in your own worth, when you're no longer trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Remember, real love doesn't need to play games. It's too honest, too vulnerable, too brave for that. And so are you. When someone plays games with your heart, it doesn't always look obvious at first. Sometimes it looks like a charming smile, a playful message, a subtle compliment mixed with just enough distance to leave you thinking, what did that mean? You find yourself overthinking replies, checking your phone more often, waiting for her to show you some consistency. But it never really comes. She's warm one moment and distant the next. She gives you just enough to stay interested, but never enough to feel secure. And in your heart, you start to feel tired, confused, frustrated. But here's the truth: love should not be this hard. It shouldn't leave you questioning your worth or feeling like you're constantly being tested. Love, real love, is not a game. And if it feels like a game, you need to step back and ask yourself, what are you actually playing for? So many people end up stuck in these patterns because they confuse drama for passion. They think the chase is a sign that something intense is building, but real connection doesn't come from guessing. It comes from being seen and understood and valued. Without the tricks, without the power plays. If she's playing games with your heart, your first step isn't to beat her at them. It's to recognize them. Because once you see the pattern clearly, you don't fall for it again. For example, if she cancels plans last minute, blames you when you get upset, and makes you feel guilty for expecting more, that's not high standards, that's emotional manipulation. If she disappears for a day or two and then comes back acting like everything is fine, ignoring your questions or turning things around on you, that's not just how women are. That's a person avoiding accountability. And the longer you stay in that, the more you'll start to second guess yourself. Your peace is worth protecting. And protecting it doesn't mean becoming bitter or cold. It means becoming clear about what you will and won't accept. One of the most powerful ways to outsmart someone who plays games with your heart is to not play back. Don't compete with their confusion. Don't respond with silence just to match theirs. Don't play hard to get in hopes that she'll chase you. That's not a relationship. That's just emotional ping-pong. You weren't made for that. You were made for something honest. And honesty begins with you. Being honest about how this person makes you feel. Being honest about whether you truly feel safe. And being honest about whether this is the kind of relationship you'd want for your future self. Outsmarting someone doesn't mean manipulating the situation in your favor. It means choosing yourself every time they choose to test you. If she makes you feel small, if she mocks your vulnerability, if she disappears when you need her the most, you don't need to match her distance or beg for attention. You step away. You give space, not as a punishment, but as a boundary. Because love is not about chasing people who run from connection. Love is about building something with someone who chooses to stay. So many people fall into the trap of thinking that if they just say the right thing, wait long enough, or prove their loyalty, the person playing games will finally stop. But they won't. Not unless they want to. And you can't control that. What you can control is your reaction. You can decide that you're not here to fix someone. You're not here to convince someone to value you. You're here to live with peace and love that feels like peace. Some women play games, not because they're cruel, but because they're confused, scared, or insecure. That's not your job to fix. You can feel compassion for someone and still walk away. You can understand their pain without making it your own. It's not cold, it's mature. It's not selfish, it's self-protection. And in doing that, you teach yourself that your needs matter, that you deserve consistency, that silence isn't love, that manipulation isn't passion, and that you don't have to earn someone's attention by losing your dignity. The biggest trap in emotional games is believing that love must be proven through suffering. That the more you endure, the more valuable you become. That's false. The more you tolerate, the more they take. And before you know it, you're anxious all the time, waiting for a message, questioning your instincts, settling for scraps of affection. You were not built for that. You were built to be loved fully. You were built to be understood, supported, and respected. And if someone is not doing that, the smartest thing you can do is not try harder. It's to stop participating. You don't have to block them with anger or curse them in your heart. You can simply stop giving your energy to someone who doesn't know what to do with it. You can choose silence that brings peace over conversations that lead nowhere. You can choose distance that heals over closeness that confuses. And in that space, you will grow. You will realize how much strength it takes to walk away. You will see clearly what you couldn't see when you were too emotionally involved. You'll stop asking, why did she do that to me? And start asking, why did I keep allowing it? And that shift will change everything. You'll start to attract different people. You'll stop tolerating small disrespect. You'll become more direct about your needs. And you'll realize that outsmarting games is not about intellect. It's about emotional maturity. It's about having the courage to walk away from what drains you, even if it once excited you. It's about choosing what's right over what's familiar. It's about saying, I may care about you, but I care about me more. That's power. That's growth. That's peace. You don't need to outplay her. You don't need to be colder than she is. You don't need to win by making her jealous or pretending you don't care. You win by healing. You win by letting go. You win by creating space for someone who doesn't want to play games with your heart, but wants to build something with it. That someone may not be her, and that's okay. The person who sees you clearly, chooses you freely, and shows up consistently. That's who you're waiting for. Not someone who keeps score. Not someone who plays hot and cold. Not someone who needs you to chase them in order to feel loved. So if you're caught in that game right now, take a breath. Step back. Ask yourself what this is costing you. Not just in time, but in confidence, in energy, in self-respect. And then ask yourself, is it worth it? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away, not because you don't care, but because you finally do. You care enough to say, this isn't love. This is confusion. And I'm not confused anymore. You choose peace. You choose clarity. You choose you. And that will always be the smartest move you can make. There comes a point in every relationship, whether it's just beginning or deep in the middle, when your heart starts to whisper things your mind doesn't want to hear. You start to feel uncertain, off balance, a little bit like you're chasing something that keeps shifting right in front of you. Maybe she says all the right things one day, makes you feel like you're the center of her world, and then the next day, she pulls away without reason. Maybe she gives you just enough to stay invested, just enough to keep hoping, but never enough to feel secure. And if you're honest with yourself, you're exhausted. This isn't what love is supposed to feel like. You shouldn't be waking up every day trying to figure out if you still matter to someone. You shouldn't be replaying conversations in your head, wondering what you did wrong, when the truth is, she's the one playing games. And it's not about outsmarting her to get her to stop. It's about outsmarting the emotional patterns that keep you stuck in the cycle. When someone is playing with your heart, they often do it by controlling the pace of the connection. They decide when to give affection and when to withdraw it. They act like everything's fine when they want something, and distant or cold when they don't. It creates confusion in you. And confusion is the playground of control. Because when you're confused, you stop trusting your gut. You start explaining things away. Maybe she's just busy. Maybe I'm being too needy. Maybe I need to give her space. You tell yourself these things not because they're true, but because they keep you hoping. They keep you from admitting the real problem, that she's not being consistent, and that she's not treating your heart with care. But here's the truth: consistency is not a bonus in relationships. It's the foundation. Anyone can show up once. Anyone can send a sweet text. But real love shows up when it's not convenient. Real love isn't hot and cold. Real love makes you feel safe, not unsure. You don't need to decode her silence. You don't need to chase after someone who pulls away every time you get close. What you need is to see clearly that this is not the kind of love that lasts. It's the kind of love that makes you question your worth, doubt your instincts, and lose your balance. And you were not made for that. You were made to stand tall, to walk in peace, and to give your love to someone who sees it as a gift, not a game. When you stop trying to win her approval and start noticing how you feel, everything changes. You begin to see that real love doesn't look like manipulation. It looks like understanding. It looks like someone who listens. Someone who chooses you even on the hard days. Someone who doesn't make you wonder what you mean to them. Love is clarity, not confusion. Love is safety, not strategy. If you've been caught in her game, you might feel tempted to respond by playing smarter. You might feel like the way to win is to be more distant, more mysterious, more detached. But that's not winning. That's just becoming more like the person who hurt you. You don't outsmart emotional games by playing them better. You outsmart them by refusing to play. You step out of the circle. You stop explaining yourself. You stop waiting for her to change. You stop trying to fix things that she's intentionally breaking. You take your attention, your time, your energy, and you give them back to yourself. That's the smartest thing you can do. Because the more you invest in someone who isn't serious about you, the more you delay your own healing. You're not here to prove yourself. You're not here to earn love. You're here to share it with someone who honors it. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is simply to say, "This doesn't feel right." Even if you care about her. Even if the good moments were really good. Even if you thought it would turn into something more. If someone is playing games with your heart, you owe it to yourself to stop participating. You don't need revenge. You don't need to get even. You need to get honest. Are you happy? Do you feel safe? Do you feel respected? If the answer is no, then the smartest step isn't to wait, it's to walk. Not out of anger, but out of love. Love for yourself. Love for your future. Love for the version of you who's finally tired of guessing. Let go of the belief that walking away means losing. Walking away is what you do when you realize the other person stopped showing up a long time ago. Maybe she liked the attention. Maybe she liked the power. But she didn't respect your time, your heart, or your truth. And you can't teach someone how to love you. You can only decide what you will and won't accept. Don't let someone keep you in emotional limbo because you're afraid to start over. Starting over is scary, yes, but staying in a place where your heart is constantly under pressure is worse. You don't need to be cold. You don't need to become cynical. You just need to be clear. Clear about your values, clear about your needs, clear about what kind of love you want to give, and what kind of love you refuse to settle for. So if she's playing games with your heart, stop trying to win her. Win yourself back. Win your peace back. Win your sleep back. Win your self-worth back. Because no matter how beautiful or charming someone is, if their love confuses you more than it comforts you, it's not the kind of love you deserve. You deserve to be chosen, freely, fully, without conditions or manipulation. That kind of love is out there, but you won't find it while you're stuck in someone else's game. Choose yourself. Again and again. That is the smartest, strongest thing you'll ever do. It always starts small. A delayed reply, a vague excuse, a sudden shift in tone. She was warm before, interested, attentive, and available. But now, she's unpredictable. One day, she laughs at all your jokes and calls you late at night just to hear your voice. The next, she's distant, busy, and barely responds. You try to give her space, not seem too eager. You don't want to push her away. So you start pulling back too, but inside you're anxious. You replay conversations, analyze every word, try to figure out where things went wrong. But what if nothing went wrong? What if this isn't about you at all? What if she's simply playing a game, and you're the one stuck trying to make sense of something that was never honest to begin with? That realization is painful, but it's also powerful. Because the moment you see the pattern for what it is, you're no longer trapped by it. When someone plays games with your heart, they create just enough connection to keep you hooked, but not enough to let you feel secure. That imbalance is intentional. It's not always cruel. Sometimes it's unconscious. But either way, it keeps you emotionally invested in someone who isn't giving you clarity. And the longer you stay in that space, the more you start to question yourself. You wonder if you're being too emotional, too sensitive, too needy. You think maybe if you were more laid back, more interesting, more mysterious, she'd commit. But the truth is, the problem isn't you. It's the environment. And if the environment makes you doubt your worth, it's not the right place to grow. You don't become stronger by staying in confusion. You become stronger by seeking truth. And the truth is, love doesn't have to feel like a chase. It doesn't have to keep you on edge. It doesn't have to feel like you're always waiting for someone to finally make up their mind. You may think that if you just play it cool, stay calm, and match her energy, she'll come around. But here's what really happens: you silence your own needs. You lower your expectations. You become passive in your own story, hoping that maybe, just maybe, she'll notice your patience and reward it. But people who play games don't respond to patience. They respond to power. And your power isn't in becoming colder or more distant. It's in being honest. It's in saying, "This doesn't work for me." It's in walking away not to punish her, but to protect yourself. Emotional maturity means knowing when something is unhealthy, even when it looks exciting. It means not mistaking intensity for intimacy. It means refusing to let someone's inconsistency become your normal. Let's be honest. Sometimes we stay in these situations because we're afraid of what's on the other side. We think if we walk away, we'll be alone. We'll lose that connection, that chemistry, that rush of emotion we felt in the beginning. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to let go of someone you care about, even if they're not good for you. But holding on to someone who confuses you isn't safety. It's self-abandonment. You deserve more than breadcrumbs. You deserve more than half-hearted love. You deserve someone who shows up, not someone who shows off and disappears. So if she keeps pulling you in and pushing you away, recognize that you're not building something real. You're stuck in a cycle that repeats until you decide to break it. You don't have to wait until you're emotionally drained to make a change. You don't have to wait until you're completely numb. You can choose now. You can say, I want peace more than I want closure. You can say, I want respect more than I want attention. And you can say, I want real love, not a game I have to win. The smartest decision you'll ever make is to stop proving your worth to someone who can't see it. Walk away with your head high, knowing that loving someone isn't enough. You also need to be loved back in a way that's healthy, honest, and whole. When you begin to live with that standard, everything changes. You stop tolerating vague answers. You stop shrinking yourself to be more acceptable. You stop holding on to people who make you question your instincts. You start trusting that the right person won't make you beg for clarity. The right person won't confuse your kindness for weakness. The right person won't make you feel like you have to earn their love in pieces. You'll look back and realize that walking away was never a loss. It was a turning point. A moment when you stopped trying to figure someone else out and started figuring yourself out. And that's the real victory. Not winning her back, not getting her attention, but returning to yourself with honesty and strength. Choosing your mental peace over temporary validation. Refusing to let anyone rewrite your worth with their silence or manipulation. You are not here to be tested. You are not here to be trained. You are here to be loved, respected, and chosen. And the moment you realize that, deeply, truly, you'll stop chasing love that hurts. You'll start waiting for love that heals. And when it comes, you'll recognize it. Not by the way it pulls you in and disappears, but by the way it stays. Without question, without confusion, without games. Sometimes the hardest part about walking away from someone who plays games with your heart isn't the leaving. It's the doubt that follows. You start to question if you were too quick to give up, too sensitive, too demanding. You remember the good moments, the times when she seemed fully present, fully in love, and you wonder if maybe, just maybe, she just needed a little more time. But deep down, you know the truth. The uncertainty wasn't occasional. It was constant. The connection wasn't stable. It was conditional. The love you felt didn't grow stronger with time. It just kept you guessing. And when you care about someone who won't meet you halfway, you end up doing all the emotional work. You forgive before she apologizes. You reach out when she pulls back. You stay available even when she disappears. That's not love. That's emotional exhaustion. And you were never meant to stay in that place for too long. Outsmarting someone who plays games with your heart doesn't mean trying to understand all of their reasons. It doesn't mean waiting for them to mature or trying to read between every line. It means becoming so aligned with your own self-worth that you no longer feel the need to entertain confusion. It means understanding that love without consistency is chaos dressed up as chemistry. You stop trying to fix the relationship and start seeing how the relationship is affecting you. Are you anxious more than you're calm? Do you feel secure or constantly on edge? Are you expressing yourself or shrinking to be more acceptable? These are the real questions. Because no matter how much you care about someone, if the relationship requires you to stay quiet about your needs just to keep the peace, then it's already costing you too much. She might not see what she's doing. She might believe that her distance is just her being independent. She might think that her silence makes her more desirable. She might convince herself that stringing you along is harmless because she hasn't made any promises. But your heart knows the difference. Your heart knows when it's being fed and when it's being starved. And when someone keeps showing up just enough to keep you hoping, but not enough to make you feel safe, that is not love. That is emotional manipulation, even if it's not intentional. And you don't have to wait until it breaks you to finally walk away. You can walk away now, knowing that you've tried, knowing that you were real, knowing that your heart stayed open long enough to recognize when it was being mishandled. Don't let anyone turn love into a guessing game. Don't let someone convince you that love means being tested over and over. Love doesn't require confusion to feel exciting. It doesn't require silence to feel mysterious. The right person will not confuse you. The right person will not leave you wondering. The right person will meet your energy, your intentions, your honesty. And when you choose to stop entertaining games, you create space for that kind of love to enter your life. A love that shows up on time. A love that listens. A love that doesn't retreat when things get serious. A love that honors you not only when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Yes, walking away hurts. Letting go of potential hurts. But holding on to pain disguised as passion hurts more. You are not obligated to stay in a relationship that makes you feel small. You don't need to wait for someone to realize your value. People who truly see you don't need to be convinced. They just show up. So if she's playing games, if she's inconsistent, if her love feels like a prize you have to win, step back. Not because you don't care, but because you care about your own heart enough to protect it. Let her wonder why you stopped chasing. Let her feel your absence. But don't do it for revenge. Do it for your own peace. Because real peace comes when you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You just know who you are. You know what you deserve. And you know what you're not going to tolerate ever again. And here's what will surprise you. When you choose clarity over confusion, peace over passion, respect over games, you will start to feel lighter. You will wake up not wondering if someone will call or text, but knowing you made space for better. Your energy will shift. You'll stop bending just to be accepted. You'll start standing. You'll start leading. You'll start living. And the love that is meant for you will see you, not as someone to control or conquer, but as someone to cherish. And that love, when it arrives, won't ask you to play. It will invite you to stay, free calmly, honestly. And you'll look back and realize that everything you walked away from brought you closer to everything you were meant for.